Welcome to the pregame hangout. I am here with Yang Yang Wang and Rhiannon Held. Woo! Amazing. Like a third of the dungeon scrawlers. Amazing. Yeah, everyone is carbo loading for the harrowing session that we will have this evening.
Comfort carbs.
True.
Yep. So, how are you two doing?
I'm in the midst of packing. Going to be in the midst of packing for a while. Leave myself lots of time, but I don't know. People are like, don't do it. I'm like, but if I just like leave it all for the end, then it'll suck like for a shorter amount of time.
Yeah. Wait, where are you going? What are you doing? What are you packing for? You're moving?
Yes. Are you asking this as like Yang Yang or as in like as an audience stand-in?
As a sort of like an audience stand-in? Tell me all the things. Unless you don't want to talk about it. Is this a hot topic?
No, not particularly, but I mean, this is public face. I'm not going to tell the greater internet.
She's moving.
Like
amazing.
Yeah. I mean, like your specific address.
I know.
She's moving to a better, cooler place.
Yes, bigger.
Yeah. So
bigger.
Not vacation. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So where are you going on vacation, huh? Where will you be and what dates and what time? Jeez.
Oh boy. Yes, well.
I'll leave the spare key under the mat and
yeah, that's right.
Just kidding. I don't have a spare key.
See, I feel like you and I are opposites in terms of that sort of anxiety. I had a dream last night actually where I was renting a winter cabin. I was on like a snowboarding trip with some friends, and like for whatever reason we left the door open at night, like just completely wide open, and there was like a blizzard going on, and we could hear wolves like howling and like snarling outside the door. And I was like sleeping on a sleeping bag on the ground. I remember waking up, like looking out the door and then seeing like little shadows like circling around and hearing them growl, and then I was like, yeah, it'll be fine.
Well, I mean, obviously your dream self knew that you would be in no danger from wolves. So
my dream self, had zero logical thought at that point. It wasn't even like weighing like, oh, might they be chased, or might they be too scared to enter, that kind of thing. I was just like,
Well, dream selves don't do that sort of thing. But
yeah,
I guess to bring it back to geeky things, I was having a conversation with somebody recently about video games and like rating them on whether they make you murderize wildlife.
Oh,
that's an important metric, because there are a lot of games that make you murderize wildlife, and it is always sad.
And like I know a lot about wolf behavior because obvious reasons, and wolves, they just don't do that. So and I don't know quite as much about like bears, but certainly I'm sure that like bears don't mix it up with people with whatever weapons you have in the video game as much as that they seem to think they do. So but apparently there are some video games that are like, oh well, these are like the shades of wildlife, so now they're all like twisted and they're not really like, you're not really killing them, you're vanishing them, and I'm like, A+. I will kill some wolf shades.
Nice.
Yeah, when you first mentioned that, my mind immediately went to Zelda, how it like teaches you not to mess with chickens.
Yeah, it really does.
As opposed to like Diablo or Fable, a bunch of other things that teach you to beat up on chickens. So.
Wait, you beat up on chickens in Diablo? I don't remember this. I remember cows in Diablo, but they were like demon cows.
What was I just playing? That I was shooting. Oh, never mind. I was playing Hunted. Sorry.
Oh, I mean, like, I wouldn't honestly mind murderizing evil chickens if there were evil chickens, because it's not like it's going to influence people when it comes to making laws about whether like the last 20 chickens in the state need to die the way it will with wolves.
Yeah.
That's
So
a fair point.
chickens, they do an okay.
You know who are really evil are geese, man. Oh,
Oh
Mm.
boy.
dark souls. Dark souls and geese.
Have you played
Gargeese.
Untitled Goose Game?
Oh,
No.
that's such a good
Oh,
one.
it's very good.
It's a very accurate game.
I have not.
Very naughty goose. You
Mhm.
steal things. It's great.
Oh.
It's like a puzzle solving game, but yeah, you're a goose that's running around taking things that don't belong to you,
I mean,
Doing terrible,
terrorizing.
terrible things.
pissing people off.
Terrorizing
For no
a
reason,
free
really.
town.
Because you're a ghost. That's the reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it lists your objectives, and your objectives are all to terrorize people.
Yeah, it's a wonderful game. It's even got co-op, so you could team up with a friend to be two assholes.
I have not played the
Oh,
co-op.
man.
I forgot that was the thing.
Nor have I played Goat Simulator. I keep
What is
seeing
that? I've seen that suggested, but I don't actually know what it is.
It's one of those
Believe-
games on Steam that people love it because it is not an accurate depiction of goat life, but rather you just are a goat and
Uh-huh.
you kill things and you have guns and yeah,
fly
it's got
around on
physics.
jetpacks and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, I might have to restart my computer.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna say
don't
your
know
mic
what's
sounds a little
doing.
faint too.
Well, the mic got moved over because I was working and
Oh, much better.
I am just real behind. I went for a walk before the show, but I got waylaid by my children first, which is fair. So I got back a little late, and so my dinner's not even cooked yet. And now my
Oh,
computer
no.
is like, "Do you want me to like run everything forever?" No, I do not, computer. Please close these things.
Yeah, you got
Nice.
23 minutes till the game starts.
All right, I will be back.
Plenty of time. Don't worry.
Do all the
Just
things.
don't do Windows updates. I had one the other day that was like half an hour long.
Good advice.
Yeah.
I mean, the work computer has it set so that it escalates much faster than your personal computer. So I believe I was at the end of choice in the matter. But still, I was like, oh, I'll do it during lunch. And then I come back from lunch and it's like 68%, 71%.
Struggling for life.
Yeah.
One last thing about geese. I was reading that there are some countries in the world where they use geese instead of guard dogs in their prisons because apparently geese are so much more territorial and hostile.
I would believe
They're
it.
aggressive, man.
Well, I believe historically they often used not necessarily to be aggressive at people, but because they were loud as bleep.
Yeah.
So somebody was doing something and then they just honked their heads off, and then people
Yeah.
arrived to actually deal with it. So I wouldn't be surprised if the prison there's a little bit of the alarm feature.
Yeah, nature's alarm system.
This thing is huge. Usually you
Some-
have it out of frame.
Someone's like
Your
noting
water
that.
bottle.
Oh, yeah. This is my gallon a day bottle.
It's good, man. Yeah, drinking lots of water is good.
I mean, at some point, it just goes through, but
Sure. Yeah.
So chat says, how do you even get on the good side of a goose? And then Seldorine adds in, the BBEG has to be a goose now. Is
You
there
get
a
on the
goose
good
creature?
side. Goose. Yep. Yeah. I don't know. Get up, but get
Well,
behind it.
Most of you haven't seen the Golden Raven, so I'm just saying.
They just
Does it,
call
does it lay golden eggs?
Might not actually be a raven.
That'd be amazing.
oh, there's Steven.
Gets out of the gooses to Evan door. Like Star Chaser said, and then there were full because people keep dropping off of the video and stuff. And I'm like, yeah. If I were to die right now, who's not on screen, who could have done it, doesn't have an alibi.
Well, there'd be 3 of us who have alibis, and the rest of the world is a potential culprit.
There are a lot of people.
Who has motive?
Mm.
Oh my god, if this is the golden goose. Oh my god. It'd be so funny. I don't think you would do that though. My money's on you not doing.
You don't think so, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I'll
If
bet you a
this was
+3 weapon.
No bet. No bet.
Okay.
If this was a Death in Paradise episode, then it would definitely be one of us. Because
Yeah.
their formula is that they always constrain the suspect pool. And maybe there's like one more person you find out halfway through who's part of the pool, but otherwise it's the same like 4 to 6 people.
Death in Paradise?
Death in Paradise, yeah.
Is that a show?
Oh yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
pretty
it's-
fun show, actually.
I mean,
It varies. Sometimes it's really good. Sometimes it's meh. But
Yeah.
like, it's entertaining.
it's British, and so they do the British thing where the seasons are like 8 episodes long.
Yeah.
But there's like 10 seasons now, I think, 9. And they have changed the lead detective 4 times. So it's very like Doctor Who-ish in
Mm.
that who you're following is not one character, but in fact like the setup, because it's the same police station.
Yeah.
And they have a couple like constable police characters who are there for most all the series, but even those they like swap them out. So it's fun. It's a very sort of like British procedural. So not at all like, you know, like a Scandinavian mystery and not very much like American procedurals.
Yeah. We've watched a bunch of like Midsummer and Agatha Raisin and Franny Fisher, and was there
Miss
really one that
Miss
had
Fisher is very different though. I wouldn't
Yeah.
call that a British procedural.
No, yeah, I'm
at
sorry.
all.
That's Australian and
Well,
20s
and I
stuff.
mean just in terms of like feel. Midsummer Murder is very sort of the British procedural.
Yeah.
Franny Fisher is definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen any of it, though.
But don't see the movie. Sad.
Oh, I see.
At all, or are you saying if you haven't seen the show?
I mean, so I saw the reviews were not good because I watched the whole series and then the movie came out and I saw that the reviews were not good for the movie, even among people who were, you know, super fans of the show. And I'm like, that's fine. I don't care. Even if it's a little clumsy, it's the characters I like.
It can't be that bad.
It can't be that bad. I found it that the characterization was just subtly off, where Franny, instead of being like very self-assured, ended up being just a touch arrogant and a jerk in a ton of ways. And so it was actually worse than if it had just been like Hilarabad, because I was like, no, that's not the character I love. So that's why I tell people, I mean, I guess you don't have to like, don't see it, but think carefully, maybe read the reviews, spoil yourself, maybe. I don't know. I'm a fan of careful spoilers. Spoil yourself and see if that would really like annoy you.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. The wife and I watched it, and while we did find it entertaining, and it is different from the show. So
Yeah.
And My Life is Murder. I've seen that with Lucy Lawless. I think that was a really
Yeah,
good
it's an
one.
Australian.
Looking forward to the next.
Well, the season 2 is out. My parents were watching it, so I caught some of it, not having watched season 1.
Yeah.
So it was just like, okay, it's procedural. I don't need to know too much, but
And of course, I watched a lot of Hamish Macbeth, of course, with Robert Carlyle, because that's all Scottish. And it's like, yeah, so I enjoy watching that just for the really thick Scottish accents.
I'm actually right now catching up. No one in like the rest of my friends follows and or has heard of this, but Murdoch Mysteries, which is Canadian. It is an incredibly good time, and nobody has heard of it, but apparently it's popular like within Canada. So they just keep making more of it. I'm like, yes, thank you, Canadians.
Because anyone who hears about it mysteriously dies. That's why no one's heard about it.
Is that the reputation that Canadians have?
I mean, that's why I'm a little sort of
they're
like
killer. Yeah, they're pretty deadly.
crickets.
I thought the reputation that Canadians have was that you hadn't met them because they go to a different school.
Right. My girlfriend is in Canada.
Yeah. Okay, so I drank all my bourbon. So I got a new bottle of bourbon.
Oh, nice.
This is a 46 Maker's Mark. So it's not super special or anything. It's just pretty good.
I mean, anything with
It's
a
just-
wax seal is instantly fancy.
Yeah, it does have a wax seal. I figured I would take that off during the hangout so that it limits the number of people who see me embarrass myself. So
It has the excellent property
wait,
of
you're
being
recording
full.
this, aren't you? Too late. Too late.
Yeah.
Just make it happen. All right.
Is that a Cthulhu Chef t-shirt you've got on, Eric?
Sure enough,
What is
it
his
says "Kiss the Great Old One," and
Oh,
then
nice.
this is the world, right?
Oh, nice. Oh, he's gonna grill
Is
the
it
world.
the little barbecue sauce? That's especially important.
Nice.
It's one of my DMing shirts.
We are the world.
Obviously.
We are Cthulhu.
And I'm going for a different geekdom. I got my Hamilton shirt
Nice.
Oh, nice.
that I did not buy at the show, though. I did see the show. I saw it in Seattle in 2018 was when that came here, and I found this at Value Village
Sounds
like a
about
couple months ago. But
Oh,
I'm like,
nice.
it's in my size. It's meant to be.
That is a sign.
You can find such great deals, Value Village. Just trying to get back now.
I wanted to show people my new mug.
Nice.
Fair.
That's from Cass Aris, who is a YouTuber, debunker, psychologist person. Her videos are pretty great. Not a sponsor. I just like her videos and her mug.
So, Aaron, even though you haven't been on screen for the last 10 minutes, I'll be your alibi. If you did any crimes or whatever, I'll say that you were. screen.
I mean, not that the police would check the VOD or anything.
Pretty sure she didn't have enough time to drive to Steven's house and murder him. So,
Well,
It's
Steven's
true.
right there, so I definitely.
Or
wouldn't
is he?
murder Steven.
well,
That's definitely not going to be Steven's corpse propped up in a chair. Mind him if he's
Hello.
quiet.
I'm Steven. Hello.
I think there was something recently that annoyed me enough that I was joking about needing an alibi, and I can't remember what that was. Nope. It obviously wasn't that big a deal because I'm over it now.
Well, I mean, this would be a good sort of like, depending on the kind of procedural, sort of like, oh, it's topical because it's about Zoom, but we won't mention the pandemic. So we're just talking about like Zoop so that they don't have to pay for the rights.
Right.
But, you know, and then they have to explain to the, you know, over 60s in the audience, like what this Zoop thing is. So the constable has to like have this 10-minute exposition scene about like
Oh,
webcams.
I super went to the Ice-T meme where he's like, kids call it Zoop. Apparently Law and Order is coming back, which I was not aware was gone. but
Yeah, I also was not aware it's gone.
Maybe it was just Law and Order Prime that's gone, because I feel like Law and Order SVU is definitely still running. I don't know. I used to love that show, and then one day a man knocked on my door and I didn't know who it was. And I opened the door while I was holding a wine bottle because I was sure I was about to get attacked. And he's like, is this not George's house? Because he was actually looking for the next condo one over, the townhouse. And I realized maybe I was watching too much SVU.
or just the right amount. I mean, you never know.
And those shows are production marvels.
Yeah.
In what way?
They keep cranking out episode after episode after episode.
Yeah. They're well-oiled machine of writing and rehearsal and production and post. Yeah, the deadlines are just so tight, but they just do it week after week.
The wife and I used to watch Criminal Minds. Have any of you seen any of that show?
I think my mother-in-law loves that show,
Yeah.
but I haven't watched it.
Well, we watched it for a while, but one thing kept really, really irritating her. And this is kind of a thing in a lot of different procedural sort of shows, is that all the female characters would never fight back or try and escape or anything. Just like someone's coming to murder you and I'm just gonna right? Yeah. And so we stopped watching it for that reason. Also because Mandy Patinkin left at some point. So those two reasons, sexism and Mandy Patinkin's absence. Those were the two reasons we stopped.
I mean,
excellent
admittedly,
reasons.
there's like, you can be more complex and nuanced about the not just fight or flight, but also freeze instinct. But
Mhm. But it was like every time.
Yeah.
That was
That's
the
one of those
only
things
instinct.
that's an issue in a pattern as
Yeah.
a pattern more than anything.
Yeah.
because there was another Canadian show, Frankie Drake Mysteries, also set in the 20s. And when it was first starting out, the show, she was kind of a discount Miss Fisher, but the character sort of started to get her own identity. And I was really happy to see there was a later show where she was undercover at a nightclub, and the owner was sort of getting handsy with her. And you know that if it had been Miss Fisher in that situation, she would have had like her revolver and it would have been in his belly, and then she would have like stalked away and there would have been no consequences. But they
Absolutely.
had the Frankie in the other show like freeze up and sort of not quite be able to figure out how she wanted to react to it because she didn't want to break cover, but this wasn't something she expected, and how did she react to it? And then they had some conversations with other female characters later about like feeling like, should she have reacted differently? Had she like suggested to this guy that she would be open to that? Like a whole bunch of nuance that was really nice to see, because it's great to have the like, hey, fantasy of like, you can totally just like get your own back and get him to back off. But then putting back in the sort of like, well, but if she has to keep this job, if she's never sort of thought about this before, like how would she deal with it? So
Yeah. That could be really interesting. Some
it-
shows do that really, really well.
yeah, I think it
Some
it
shows are
helped.
Criminal Minds, however.
It helped that all the primary cast, ensemble cast, like all 4 or 5 main characters are all women.
Mhm.
So it gave them the ability to have her like go to a couple of them and have them have different opinions about it and like ways that they would have dealt with it and that sort of thing, as opposed to the like one woman on the team. Like if you want to show different ways of dealing with something, then she has to like change her mind weirdly or something. So
Mhm. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. You know, having that kind of token member of the team, it makes them, and this is a thing that can go into writing or shows or anything. Occasionally we talk about writing as the writing stream. I know, it's amazing. Anyway, but one of the things is that if you only have one person from a particular group, they kind of become the representative of that group. And, you know, not because you necessarily intend that to happen. It just kind of naturally happens. If you only have one woman in your cast, then she kind of becomes a stand-in for all women in your show. And that's very reductive. Like
It's
there's
not
only so much that you can get out of your story if that's the case.
So on that note, we have hit 6:25. Do we have any final words before we go to the recap?
I managed to eat my dinner except for one cracker.
How many crackers did you have for dinner?
I don't know. This many. And some shakshuka. I didn't have bread, so.
Nice.
Oh, shakshuka. Oh, yeah.
Related to murders and TV. I am not alone in crowing about this, but you should watch Only Murders in the Building. It's so good.
It is. Yeah, that's a funny, awesome show.
Very funny. Excellent pacing.
Mhm.
Okay, so on that note, we'll be back in maybe like 4 or 5 minutes. See you in a bit.
Well, hey, the teleportation worked this time at least. So Rogar's teleportation spell found them back at Dark Dance Manor, only to find that Mirren was entertaining a guest, Lady Blackblade, which, you know, grim dark name, but hey, you know, we were all emo in high school once, right? Oh, wait. I didn't go to high school. I don't even think they actually have high schools in Faerun. Point being, Mirren was entertaining a guest, and did introduce them with some awkwardness, given that, Stong's possibly maybe girlfriend, maybe baby mama, apparently is one of the nemesis of Lady Blackblade. So that's a thing, because she's a pirate of the Astral Sea, heavily tattooed, very pretty. I would like to get to know more about her. But I digress. They were there to deal with Lazar, so they put Lazar aside. He bathed himself. They took care of him. He was kind of a jerk, but to be fair, he had just been burned to death and had a poisoned dagger sticking out of his chest the whole time. So, you know, I can forgive a little grumpiness. Cecilia had a heart-to-heart with Ruan, revealing that she sort of is in a pact with the Heart of the Piercing, who is the very being that the Spear Witch gave up her daughters to protect them from. So that's going to make for an awkward family reunion, especially considering, as Artemisia tells it, that pact involves Cecilia being obliged to try to murder her own mother when she actually meets her face to face. The other irregulars resolve to keep Cecilia in the dark a little bit, and keep telling her that the Spear Witch that she saw was an illusion, which, sure, fine, whatever. But then Sturge said something that just got me. Like, really got me. Here, why don't we remind me what he said?
I'm not wild about deceiving a friend. I see no reason why it needs to be brought up again at all.
Alright, and now what happened back at the cave?
Sturge, what did you do?
Oh.
Well, nothing. He seems to have had an accident with lighter.
Yeah. Well, all that aside, Lazar finally prepared to cast the spell that they had found him in the first place to cast, with one little caveat: in the place they were going to go, if any of them took any sort of damage from an attack or something, they would be punted right back to the real world. If Lazar took damage, all of them would be sent back. And if they died, they died for real. Once they got to where they were going, though, well, things got a little hairy really quick. The place looked like Westgate, but from some dark alternate universe, like it was made by Zack Snyder or something. And floating over the city was a very familiar astral dreadnought held over the city by chains. Now, they didn't exactly have a lot of time to take in the ambiance, given that almost immediately a bunch of witches showed up in very creepy looking masks with very familiar sounding voices. There was a bit of a tussle. A couple of locals tried to help the irregulars escape, and one of them was killed by one of the witches, who happens to be some kind of lich. So that's fantastic. Also, one of them referred to Sturge by name. Like, they clashed, they tussled a little bit, and then she called him by name and then asked him to kill her? I mean, I don't know what she's going through, but man, I would not want to be her, I swear. And things might have gotten a lot worse if it wasn't for the fact that a flaming sword burst out of the Lich Witch's chest. Lich Witch. And on the other end of that sword was a young woman with horns who looked up at Stong specifically and went, "Oh, hi, Daddy." So, I guess we're gonna see where that all goes, huh?